Good morning, good morning. It's a beautiful Friday, 3:20 a.m. on my way to my favorite destination spot. And I had a very interesting conversation with my wife about something I think I don't have, which is empathy. I had to look up what that word meant. I had to ask myself, do I possess it? And then I had to come to a conclusion on whether or not I needed it. And as we were sitting there, we happened to be out to eat. We were at dinner, and the server came by, and I was familiar with this kid. Well, he's 28 years old. I don't know how much of a kid he is, but his heart is really young. And I say, what's empathy? I said, what do you think about empathy? He says, oh man, he says, yeah, you gotta have empathy. You gotta be able to not react, and you gotta, be able to see it from another person's point of view. Put you in their shoes. That's empathy. You gotta have empathy. And I started sitting there thinking, I was like, I don't think I'm a very empathetic individual. And I think that bothered me. That bothered me because I almost felt like I was so cold and so hard that anytime a problem came up, rather than being empathetic to the feeling that the person may have had, I would automatically just say, hey, there's a solution. And I believe there's a solution for everything, but I never even gave thought to somebody else's feelings, because I don't believe feelings are attached to everything. Let me give you a little bit about me. And I'm no different than a lot of other people. I grew up in a very, very weird era. Very weird, dysfunctional era. And the fact of the matter is this. How can I put it? The fact of the matter is this, is that there wasn't a whole lot of empathy growing up. There wasn't a whole lot of understanding growing up. There was a lot of excuses. And let's take in, for instance, my behavior at school. The excuse would always be because I always had women teachers. He just doesn't like women. He doesn't respect women. He doesn't like women. Well, that could have been true. Some of the things I had seen in my house wouldn't lead me to be the most respectful person of women. I mean, I've seen abuse. Shit flying across the room. I grew up where it was common for police to come to our home. And with my mother being absent from the picture, it would create that situation. So there wasn't a lot of empathy. But the more I started exploring it, I started saying, okay, well, maybe I'm not empathetic to somebody coming up to me with some bullshit. Maybe that's the case. I had to really kind of diagnose this, because hold on, this empathy thing, it sounds like it's a human thing. So I want to get on board with the human thing. I want to be normal, right? Everybody wants to be normal. Fuck is normal. So I started examining this empathy thing. And when I think I don't have empathy, because I don't want to hear excuses, I'm not going to give them to you. I don't want to listen to it. I'm not empathetic. Unless you're missing legs and arms, and you grew up mentally with something that was a true challenge, I'm not empathetic. There are certain homeless people I'm not empathetic. Don't hold a beer and ask me to give you some money. at 10 o'clock in the morning? Why would I be empathetic? Or somebody saying, hey man, that other guy. See, I guess I just got it. I don't have empathy because I've come from a fucked up life and I get it. Pull your ass up by your bootstraps and go. I have empathy for my elders. I have empathy for children. I have empathy for animals. I don't have empathy for a two-legged, two-armed, excuse-making human being. None. Because I kept hearing that word, you gotta be empathetic. You gotta be empathetic. And maybe that means I have to be empathetic of somebody who hasn't quite realized their greatness. Maybe. I didn't realize my greatness, and I was great the moment I was born. I was great before I was even conceived. So it keeps coming full circle in my mind. See, I'm just kind of taking you through my thought process right now. And had somebody been empathetic of me rather than making excuses for me, like he doesn't like women, maybe he just has ADD, or maybe it's that the work's just too easy. Like, dude, I just wasn't trying. I wasn't trying and I wasn't happy, period. I wasn't trying, I wasn't happy. That was the bottom line. And if somebody had cut out the excuses and got straight to it, I may not have had to go through it. But I'm not making any excuses for what I went through. I would not have chosen another direction in life because it wouldn't have brought me to the point where I'm at right now. So I guess empathy would be in like, okay, I get it. I understand. You're trying to get there. You're trying to pull yourself out. You're trying to eliminate the excuses. You're trying to just look forward and push forward. You're trying to see your greatness. Okay, I'm empathetic. Because that's not easy. That's not easy. But I'm not empathetic for anything else. I'm not. I know my rules. I have my standards on what it is that I'm going to feel for, because those things are what shape my value and my principles, my standards. So yes, I think I got this empathy thing down and what it is, and I have my standard for where I choose or plan or options to displace my empathy in. It might not be the same for everybody else. Because some people can sit there and facilitate a conversation full of bullshit, and never once call it out. Never once call it out. Never once sitting there with a friend, like friends like, oh my God, my life is like blah, blah, blah. And be like, bullshit. Bullshit, dude. I sat in prison for 10 years. The majority of my childhood, I switched to school every fucking month. I was in and out of juvenile facilities. I done smoked weed. I done been on the streets. I done slept on a park bench. I done had no money. I done been in fights. I done been shot at. I done did it, done it. Dude, there's no excuse. Get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm gone. I'm off to the races. There's no excuse. It's got to get done. And if you make an excuse, it can't get done. So some people are empathetic for some bullshit. I'm not. I'm just not. So maybe I'll explore this empathy thing a little bit more, and I'll get back to you on some more things that I'm empathetic about. Maybe I'll come up with some more new things that I can become empathetic about. But I do have my core things that I feel for. That is a fact.